Okay, 132. When the customer needs short-term support. Okay, once again, this is coming from Deputy Director for Customer Relationships. Okay, this is interesting, definitely. Let's just step this back a bit. You need to tell NSA CSS that the command needs a certain production line or field element to concentrate on specific essential elements of information. These essential elements of information are the selectors, become the selectors.
What do you mean by that exactly?
The selectors are the specifications, the scraps of data that they type into the search algorithms in the Eye of Sauron.
Okay.
So an email address or a name or a location or some identifying piece of information, or in this case, essential element of information. So it's going to be relating to a target, like a target person or a target location or something like this. Okay, the first thing I see in this document is that yet again, we are seeing that signals intelligence results in operations.
Definitely.
That signals intelligence is not just listening. It's not
Absolutely.
just watching. It's not passive. It is active. It aids in physical on the ground operations. Did you go read the piece about, was it New York Magazine piece about Reality Winner this week?
Yeah, that was interesting for sure. Yeah.
The big takeaway from that for me, I mean, there was many, but the one significant one was that her work was resulting in kills.
Absolutely.
In multiple countries.
Yeah.
So these 8,000 linguists or whatever that we've been talking about in these previous documents, they're not just there to translate information to add to the knowledge base of NSA. That knowledge is being acted on. That knowledge is resulting in, what do they call it themselves? Kill capture operations. So this idea that mass surveillance is just about watching or knowing or learning or storing is only one half of the story. The other half of the story is that information is used in operations on the ground. It results in the deaths of human beings. Or the capture, supposedly, but I mean, if the capture leads you to Guantanamo Bay or similar, or some CIA black site, then it doesn't really matter whether it was a kill or not. It effectively is. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
They're calling it, so you're supporting the war fighter. Oh, well, that's well and good if it's actually a war fighter in Iraq or somewhere, but it may well not be. It might be a CIA agent in Italy, for example, rendering someone. It might be, I mean, the most recent list of countries involved in renditions had something like 20 countries. I mean, everywhere, even the stans, central, Uzbekistan was one of the, I believe also Kazakhstan was on the rendition list. So even somewhere in, I want to say it wasn't Brazil, but somewhere in, or maybe it was Brazil, because I remember sending it to Glenn. Greenwald, but there are now like dozens of countries involved in the rendition program,
Yeah.
for example. So this information is not just being collected so that they know everything, it's so that they can act on what they know.
Yeah, I think it would be ridiculous to even try to defend the idea that it's just so they can know everything. I mean, that would be, ridiculous.
The way that we interpret it in the West is they are just violating our privacy. I mean, this is true. This is entirely true. I'm not intending at all to knock the fact that this is a violation of our privacy, because I was extremely pissed off about my privacy being violated by them for many years. I'm the classic example of the argument that they're violating our privacy.
Absolutely.
However, what I'm learning from these documents is that violating our privacy is just step one.
Yeah.
And that step two is to the actual interference in our lives. You know, which could be like as low level as harassment of an activist, or as high level as rendition or execution, which is basically what it is, assassination. But either way, it starts with that information gathering. Okay, so that's the first thing that I'm reading here, is that it's being used for active operations. The second thing is that the people who are ordering, the customers, the people who are ordering this information to be collected, we've talked before about how they've developed a new customer information needs portal where they can better find out what specifically it is that the customer wants and fulfill it. The customer service portal for spies. They're saying you need to refine it. You need to refine it to concentrate on those specific pieces of information that you can use as selectors in order to produce something. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have those pieces, if you don't have the selectors to type into the Eye of Sauron, it's not going to give you the results to fulfill the customer's request.
So the job of the analyst in that situation is to find out the most relevant, important information to hand in to the higher ups.
Right. So they're saying the customer's information needs can be comprehensive and wide-ranging, but that doesn't help when you have to write a search algorithm, because they have to be very specific and refined.
Exactly.
So you need to tell them that they need to concentrate on these essential elements of information. Okay, and then this is just an issue, a reporting. This is the reporting line issue. Look at that, our integrated representatives at the UN or Department of Commerce.
What does that mean exactly, integrated representatives? Is that referring to what we discussed in an earlier stream about them helping the UN craft a narrative?
The integrated representatives at the UN are the NSA staff members who are assigned to the US UN mission. This is how they refer to it. So they have permanent staff members whose job is to physically accompany the United States UN representatives, and to literally, the same as they did in those in the ground teams in Iraq. So in every ground team in Iraq, they had the one comms guy, and the one comms guy was NSA, and their job is to be a liaison for that team and to serve up, the target info and the whatever to support the operation. Well, they've got the same thing with the UN. They have the one signals guy, the one comms guy from NSA, who is ever present and ever ready to dish up the intelligence from NSA that the UN mission, I mean, the fact they even call it a mission, they call their representatives to the UN a mission, This is how they see it. They view it as a military operation. They respond, they organize around it like it's a military operation. And they gather and utilize the information through their military infrastructure to deliver it to their diplomats. So they're saying that they have this new online key reads process whereby these things, you don't have to just send them to one guy at a station. You can put them into a portal and then it will be acted on across the global NSA enterprise. And that can be if your customer information need is something relating to a military operation, or if it is the US UN mission or the Department of Commerce.
Of course.
The Department of Commerce. And the fact that these things are being serviced by the same mechanisms is quite relevant because it shows that there is a parity. There is the prioritization is the same for economic and for military. They're seen as synonymous.
Exactly. I'm just tweeting out our watch link now because I haven't done that yet.
Okay, so key reads are defined as a customer-driven information need tied to a specific near-term customer event, action, decision, or outcome for which they expect a product or service. It is intended to sharply focus NSA global resources and perhaps for short periods of time, possibly redirect efforts to support the customer. It is not meant to replace an existing information need. So this sounds like key reads are where they are progressing what the customer wants in terms of an immediate action. So it's more than just an information request being filled. It's information being supplied, which is resulting, it's operational information. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. The next paragraph is just ratifying that. This stuff scares the hell out of me. This is the way they talk about staging this. So in systems, in any software system, you have staging. When you hear people talk about staging, it's like the progress that it's at. Like, let's just think about it in terms of not linguists. Now I've got linguists on the brain. Think about it in terms of logistics, right? Like order received, like in the warehouse, packing it, like dispatching, like delivering, delivered. Like that's staging, order staging, or product, everything. Well, any product or service has stages that it goes through to get to the end of the life cycle. This is exactly what they're talking about here. Their production center. So they are they're talking about intelligence products, they are producing this product, and that goes through a series of stages. And this way they're saying when the key read is entered into this portal, it goes to a production center for actioning. So it will send it to center A to complete task A, who will send it to center B to complete task B, who will send it to center C. It's industrialized.
Wow.
This is the industrialization of espionage and spying.
Wow. That's huge.
This is not just, and this is the thing, this has been one of the key learning things for me. Is I talked before about how I had always thought like it's like there's a spy or a analyst who is assigned a target, and their job is to sit there and spy on that target. But no, this is nothing like that at all. It's this massive industrialized operation that involves thousands of analysts and dozens of teams. And these teams, like the Target Operations Center and the social, whatever it was, network center, and all these different centers. And this is like, it's like connected circles, and the process, it's a life cycle is the life cycle of the target, not just their actual life, but the life cycle of the targeting.
Wow.
In software development, we have the SDLC, right? The software development life cycle, which is the process that the software moves through from when it's first envisioned to when it's completed and delivered. This is the same thing. They have a spying life cycle. They have an espionage life cycle. And each stage of the life cycle involves different people, different specializations, different teams, different priorities, different protocols, different practices.
Unbelievable. It's really
the language
about that.
This language, the production center, this is industrial language. You could relate this to any industry. The way that they're talking about it, their customer gateway and their portals and their key reads and their information needs and their product centers and et cetera, et cetera. This could relate to anything. This could be any industry. It just so happens that it's spying.
No, it's really eye-opening to hear it described in that sense, and it's something that I would never have envisioned either.
Look at this, the Requirements Analysis Center. And this is it's all modeled off software development.
Yeah. No, that's a really great.
Because they're utilizing software to undertake and facilitate it. But this is software development language, except that what they're churning is people's lives. To map the key read to an existing information need or essential element of information. They're literally mapping. I mean, they even use the word map. Yeah. They're literally mapping it. Like X customer wants Y piece of information on Z target. And so we are going to make sure that those all match up like a kid's puzzle, We're drawing the lines between them. Or if one doesn't exist, create one.
Yeah.
We'll get them to create one. To document the requirement. Now, this is fascinating. And I've said this before, is that we need to see this. We need to see this. And I would love to know if this exists in the Snowden files. But we need to see this. If they're documenting their requirements.
Yes, exactly.
That's evidence. That is evidence of what these people are actually getting up to on the public dime every single day. Those information needs would be very, very significant to get hold of or to have be released.
Yeah, to document the exact type of information that they're requesting.
Yes, when they're talking about customers satisfying the customer, what precisely are they doing to satisfy the customer? What precisely is the customer requiring of them?
Exactly. Hopefully that'll either be in the file somewhere or it'll be in a new leak at some point. But
and then they're producing metrics. So that they have internal reporting on how good they were at serving the customer needs. We have 50 customers. So, but I mean, like one customer is the entire CIA, for example. So, like
Yeah,
the customers are behemoth.
yeah, I would be really curious to see that list.
Well, they've given away most of it. I mean, we know the Federal Reserve is on there. We know the like Department of Commerce is on there. We know the White House is on there.
The usual suspects, definitely.
Yeah, we know the CIA and I mean, all of the different branches of military are on there, and then all of the second parties.
Yeah, it's
the
more the second
of
parties
the
that I think is
country.
interesting. Yeah, and then the next sentence is this team will work on second party participation or something or other. Yeah, will work issues such as second party participation, measuring the ability of SIGINT, blah, blah, blah. Like you said, just seeing how well they're serving each customer.
All customers integrated by spring 2005. Look, one step in building a single integrated global self-aware self-synchronizing global enterprise. That is just scary as hell.
Yeah, that's a great that needs to be a quote that goes in a
Yeah, I'm literally about to paste that into my note. Like
that's perfect to quote for whatever articles are written on this, for sure. Absolutely sums up the terrifying scale of this, for absolutely ridiculous, for sure.
The Eye of Sauron is global.
It's self-synchronizing.
Self-synchronizing.
In 2005. Yeah. In 2005.
Yeah, in 2005, exactly. 12 years ago. Exactly.